Yeah, okay. Hello, thank you for joining this online forum and welcome to the second session. Now we will have the keynote presentation by Professor Xiao-Ping Zhang from the University of Birmingham. I will pass the floor to him and let him begin with a brief self-introduction, followed by his keynote presentation. Professor Zhang, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Dr. Liu. So my talk is about the global electricity grid with 100% renewable energy generation. So at beginning, I just give you a quick introduction myself. So currently, I'm a chair in electric power system in School of Engineering at Birmingham University. I'm also co-director Birmingham Energy Institute and the chair of its steering committee. Also, this year, I received IEEE Nari Hunggarani FACS Award for my contribution to modeling control design of FACS controllers in AC-DC transmission system. I elected to the fellow IEEE for my contribution to modeling control of high voltage DC and AC transmission system. I have been senior editor of IEEE Open Access Journal of Power and Energy. I'm also founder of the MSc Electric Power System and MSc Electric Power System with Advanced Research. The second one actually is a 2-year course. First one is 1-year course. Both courses are available for part-time students, so welcome the interested students join our program. So now come back to the table of contents. At the beginning, I'm going to give a quick introduction to the global electricity grid, in particular motivation and so on. Then we're going to introduce the methodology for global electricity grid assessment with 100% renewable energy. Based on that, we will show you some case studies for global electricity grid with 100% renewable energy. After that, we're going to discuss a bit about the trading rules for global electricity grid. Then we also touch a bit about the governance of global electricity grid. And finally, we draw some conclusions. After this, we will have time had a Q&A. Introduction to the global electricity grid. Basically, I'm going to answer why do we need it. Before we do that, actually, I want to introduce the future architecture of the energy system. I give a name, Global Power and Energy Internet. We use the name of the internet because we want to mimic the internet do in terms of transformation of the information. But any internet basically, of course, for the purpose of transmission of energy. Look at this architecture. This somehow published, I think, almost 15 years ago, starting from 2010. So we have a look at this diagram. We have a 7 horizontal layer integrated electricity gas heater system. Look at this from the bottom layer. We have a consumer layer. Probably you are familiar with smart home, smart building, smart charging facility, smart consumers. And then we got the community layer. Then we got the city layer. We got the national layer. We got the transnational layer. We got the continental layer. Finally, we got a global layer. Totally 7 layers. This architecture already published in this book is well the chapter. edited by Dr. Shu and Dr. Alex Huang. From this architecture diagram, you can also show this first vertical layer we call the renewable generation. This really is a driver for future power and energy system. Because of this renewable generation, fluctuation, intermittency, we have to introduce any storage. Because of the decarbonization of the transport requirements, we need to introduce an electric vehicle. Because these are two vertical layer, we have to introduce power electronics broadly to glue them together and integrate them into the power supply system. Because these three vertical layers, we also need measurement, we need control, we need smart metering. Because of these four vertical layer, we need ICT platform. Of course, when you introduce ICT, you have to consider cybersecurity. So in my mind, all the research topic actually can be found in this diagram. If in case you cannot find a new research topic from this diagram, let me know. We can have further discussions. Now we discuss the motivation of the global electricity grid. I think in the past, actually, even back to probably 20, 30 years ago, people think about the global sort of energy grid or electricity grid. However, early days, just a very simple idea. People really haven't carried out serious studies. The detailed study until, I think, the Secret Working Group, C1.35, in 2019, they performed the first feasibility study for the concept of global electricity network or electricity grid. After the completion of this working group work, feasibility study of global electricity network, actually people have showed further interest in this area. There another working group, C1.44, established. What this group does really extend the results of working group C1.35 and make the output from the C1.35 more robust. In this case, also consider the different storage options, demand response, transmission within continental region, and trading rules, and also governance of a global grid. So that means this working group work, in comparison to previous working group, more detailed in terms of different technology options, in terms of not only technology, also the trading rules, not only the trading rules, also consideration of the governance. So it can be concluded that among other advantages, interconnection help the power system to take advantage of diversity from different time zones, seasons, load patterns, and renewable energy availability. So thus supporting a balanced coordination of power supply of all interconnected countries. Under the United Nations Net Zero 2050 target, transition towards 100% renewable energy source power grid has become an ever more attractive pathway. By the way, I just want to mention, previously people talking about the global electricity grid, not necessarily 100% renewable energy, even including the two reports from the SIGRI working group. They mainly concerned with the global electricity grid, but not 100% renewable energy. However, global grid with 100% renewable energy certainly would be attractive because the inherent fluctuation and intermittency of renewable energy generation, particularly wind and solar, would inevitably pose great technical and economic barrier to the massive integration of renewable energy into the energy supply system. So in this case, a global interconnected electricity grid would make sense because such a global grid can utilize complementarity of diverse demand patterns and renewable sources, provide appealing solution scheme for the global energy transition. In this presentation, we base on our work with detailed datasets. It becomes very attractive to assess the economic benefits such a global electricity grid with 100% renewable energy using state-of-the-art ultra-high voltage DC transmission technology. For your knowledge, not necessarily all of you know, the traditionally high voltage DC, the high voltage level, highest voltage level right now in Europe is a positive negative 525 kV. Ultra high voltage HVDC means voltage level not less than positive negative 800 kV. We have a large number of ultra high voltage DC link already available in the world, particularly in China, in India, in Brazil. So basically technology available. This is why we want to do the assessment. So now we want to introduce a methodology for the assessment of global electricity grid with 100% renewable energy. Based on our paper, if you want to find more details, you can download our paper from the IEEE Access. Basically, in our study, the global grid split into 14 regions. From this diagram, 14 dots and 20 interconnection routes. The connection just between the dots. So sometime in this kind of, I want to mention this kind of study is a market level study. So for some country, probably even the whole country, they don't have a dot. But for some country, even larger country, they have a very large territory like Australia, they have only one dot. So this talking about the data resolution at the model. Detailed hourly demand and generation data series for 14 region global electricity grid for 12 months have been used. Global hourly meteorological reanalysis data for up to 7 years with spatial revolution of 0 to 5 degree times 0 to 5 degree is converted into solar, onshore, offshore wind power series, respectively. These lead to a total of 224,750 grid cells for land areas and 19,958 grid cells for marine areas. So based on that, we have generated hourly generation output within these cells. They're aggregated and further clustered into one-year regional series based on the weighted-based aggregation rules and density-based clustering algorithm. With minimum annual system cost of the whole 14 region global grid together, whose demands in 2050 are expected to be met by 100% renewable energy sources, including wind, solar, hydropower, also any storage. That will determine the additional capacity of renewable energy technology, electricity storage, and interconnectors since 2030. In our study, we have considered load curtailment, also N-1 security of interconnectors. For people not familiar with the N-1 security, this is very much power system terminology. I just give a very simple explanation. N-1 means for any circuit, if we got outage, the system still secure. So therefore, in our study, for any interconnect corridors, we add additional HVDC link. Make sure the N-1 security requirement always satisfied. The following are basic assumptions. We use a planning optimization model coupled with economic dispatch to determine the regional additional capacities of renewable energy sources, storage system, as well as the interconnectors among the region. We also incorporated dispatch running for 12 months at hourly resolution. The base year and target year are 2030 and 2050 respectively. The total investment in all additional infrastructure since 2030 is calculated based on electricity demands of 2050. It also assumed that there would be no existing interconnection at large scale and storage by 2030. Actually, unlikely. This is an optimization problem in terms of the objective function. You can see here, the first term here, this related the investment cost from 2030 till 2050 of different technologies. The second one related to the fixed operational and maintenance costs. This one is related to the variable operational and maintenance cost. This one, the whole thing together, related the cost of the interconnector. So the formulation quite straightforward, however, the optimization problem itself is still very, very large due to the data sets have been considered. Um, in the formulation, we have also have to consider power balance at each dot, means each node. We also have to consider electricity storage constraint. We have to consider renewable energy output limits. We have to consider HVDC link and their power losses. In addition, we have to consider N-1 security requirement. Also in our formulation, load curtailment has been considered. With this considered, we carry out detailed case studies. I think in our work we have carried out 20 more than 20 cases. Due to the limited time, I can only show you some of the case studies. And for the optimized case with interconnector, we can show you what the interconnect capacity needed. In this table, first column about root. For our system, we have a split system into 14 region. And for the 14 region system, we have 20 routes. That means 20 interconnector corridors. For each corridor, we can show you the capacitor of each corridor. For instance, first route capacity is 409 gigawatts, and second corridor is 139 gigawatts, and so on. You can find out some are very, very large, some are reasonable, big. And we have a further column is a capital cost, and also operation and maintenance cost is column. And the final column is the total investment cost for each corridor. So together, the total investment cost for all the corridor is 213 billion US dollar. So it's a very big number. But I will show you later. If you look at the generation cost, much bigger. So this slide actually show you without the interconnector as a base case, the total cost is 1,892 billion. With the interconnector, we call this as optimal case. The total cost is 1,519 billion US dollar. And within this number, 14% of the cost is for the interconnector. But with this 14% of investment, we can actually achieve 20% of saving of total costs. So this clearly tells us it's very valuable to build a global electricity grid. So this column basically tells us for different region what is the total cost in terms of the different technology. This cost the region for different technology. This for EU plus, for Russian West Plus, Russian East, Middle East, Asia Central, Asia South, Asia East, Asia Southeast, and so on. North America West, North America East, North America Northeast, and South America. Interestingly, from this diagram, you can say South America solar energy is very attractive. Also, hydro plants are attractive. Okay, and in our study, clearly, offshore renewable energy, to be honest, in terms of cost efficient, cost, if you consider tech economic benefits, I think offshore uh, generation not encouraged. However, for quite a number of countries, they have some limitations to use the onshore generation. Okay, um, sometimes due to the environmental concern as well. Um, in terms of cost, actually, we in favor of onshore wind, much cheaper. So we don't have time to analyze the data in great detail, but however, if you look at the data, they do tell us some of the things are very interesting. Well, the things actually, people consider by utilization of the circuits. So probably you ask me, you have spent an awful lot of money, build up 20 corridors. So can you tell us the utilization, particularly utilization factors of these interconnectors? So this diagram clearly shows the utilizations of different corridors. Okay. Uh, the bar diagram just show you the average utilizations. And also, this arrow bar actually tells the maxima and minima. And so clearly summer corridor, the utilization very low. Okay. Uh, in fact, most of them have a higher annual utilization factor, more than 30%. 15 of them have utilization factor higher than 40%. Only 5 of them have utilization factor higher than 60%. So in practice, not necessarily you can guarantee the utilization factor, approach 90%. Impossible. Also not necessary. Next diagram, I tell you why. This is interesting. Tell you the power flow patterns of this corridor. So interestingly, the power flow during the week could be negative, could be positive. Uh, Positive means the one direction, negative means in opposite direction. So this most of the diagram actually bidirectional, positive, negative during the week. This means power flow can be changed during the days, during the weeks, and during the months, during the year, of course. So this actually the value of these interconnectors because they bring the market opportunities, to control the power flow in different directions, to help the energy market to balance the demand and the generation. That give us perspective what sort of technology available. To be honest, for long distance transmission, the ultra high voltage technology are mature, available in the market. Also, in comparison, they are cheaper in comparison probably 10 years ago. I would say much cheaper. Uh, this diagram show you here the world first 1100 kV ultra high volt DC system. The power transmission capacity is 12 gigawatts. Transmission distance for the particular project is 3,324 kilometers. The cost that time was 4.7 billion British pounds, or 5.9 billion US dollars. On the right diagram, this is the converter station, the HVDC, UHVDC converter station. It's a huge station. And the bottom one, this their huge transformer. And these are the people. So in comparison, you can find out how big this transformer is. In Europe, in recent years, we also have interest to do this kind of project. The project in the UK even ambitious. The so-called X-Link project will bring energy from Morocco to UK, use a long-distance HVDC interconnector. The renewable generation capacity will be 11.5 gigawatts. There will be battery storage associated with renewable energy generation. Total battery storage capacity is 22.5 gigawatt hour. The HVDC link capacity is 3.6 gigawatts. The transmission distance is significant. So far, the longest DC transmission in the world, 3,800 kilometers. So the China project commissioned 2019, that one, 3,300, right? So this 3,800 kilometers. Also, another one I want to mention, Australia and Singapore planning another project. They bring energy from Australia to Singapore. That one, I think the distance is even longer. Now probably time first to discuss a bit about trading rules. Actually, you got technology, you got the system, how it works in market environment. In this case, we have to consider trading rules. Actually, what we do, we can learn from history, learn from others. Basically, in the Europe, we already have a large integrated market. We call it NSOE. NSOE. This is very large interconnected electricity grid. And the market is very mature. Also, we have some large market like large electricity market in US, like PGM. That's a very large electricity market. We can learn from them. We can at the beginning take these large electricity market models as references for the global electricity grid trading. Also, for the global grid trading, we don't need to do it in a hurry. We can take a gradual approach. Start from bilateral agreement to move on to the multilateral, the regional, finally continental, then up to global level. We can take steps. We cannot build such a grid overnight anyway. Other things I want to mention, in the commercial transaction, of course, people have all sorts of worries, means risks. We have to consider a set of risks like internal risks, geopolitical risks, environmental risks, climate change risks, legal investment risks, financial risks, technical operational risks. For power engineers like me, of course, I'm very familiar with technical operational risks, no problem, we can deal with it. But for other risks, probably we need a professional to deal with them. I trust we got people, we got talented people. The key is how to bring people together. Also, in terms of the trading, we can develop long-term power purchase agreement to deal with the variability of new renewable energy investment. Also, my suggestion is for the bilateral energy trading at the beginning, we should make it as simple as possible, make it work first before we make it more advanced and complicated. Governance. I think people quite often ask me, Professor Zhang, it sounds like technical economic analysis tells such a global grid makes sense. Technology available, but consider about the leadership, how actually make it work. Because we need a leader to drive this forward. This related governance. So certainly there are political, economic, technical challenges for global electricity grid. These things actually come all together. Finally, all these things become political decision. To be honest, even single HVDC link anode is a political decision, not a technical decision. I can tell you the truth. The leaders somehow anode they need to make a decision. But how this work? Basically, we need to have organizational arrangement. So this back to 2013, I put forward the concept of energy union for the global grid governance. This was proposed at a workshop, the transmission grid that Europe needs, strengthening cross-border interconnected within Europe and across Mediterranean at the EU Sustainable Energy Week hosted in the European Parliament. This really milestone. I just put forward simple concept. 2 years later, the concept was adopted by the European Commission. Subsequently, they established the European Energy Union to lead the energy transition. If you give a Google search, European Energy Union, you can find the website. So my view is We need more EU, I mean, energy unions. We need a strong leadership. I think right now we got technology, we got the economic analysis, we got good electricity market models, but something lacking is leadership. So globally, a World Energy Organization will means we all working together is needed to lead energy transition. So within the United Nations, unfortunately, there is no such organization existing. So in fact, tomorrow, I think COP30 will open in Brazil. I think hope they're going to discuss the leadership. They set up this organization in the future. Otherwise, you just have meetings, probably nothing going to happen. We need to have existing organization on daily basis drive the agenda forward. Of course, this is my personal views, have nothing to do with IEEE. Okay. Um, Conclusion. Due to the time difference and availability of renewable energy sources, it would be desirable and really make sense to build a 24-hour interruptible global electricity grid. Because for the solar energy, it's only available for particularly time zone with limited time. Okay, definitely solar energy not available for 24 hours for one single region. Okay, but for the whole world, actually, solar energy available for 24 hours anytime. So therefore, if we got a global electricity grid, we can bring the global renewable energy together to tackle the availability and uncertainty of renewable energy, reduce energy storage costs, hence the total investment cost as well. And in this case, HVDC interconnectors for global grid with 100% renewable energy become very attractive for people, for all of us to work towards net zero transition with 100% renewable energy integration, and also this bring 20% investment savings. 20% investment saving to me is very, very significant. I just give you a figure. For traditional power grid investment, if you can bring saving, say 2%, that means awful lot of money already. If you can bring saving 20% for traditional grid, people will give you a vote. Let's do it. So X-Link project actually give us a big hope actually. Such a global grid would be possible and happen. Global energy organization like Energy Union, actually European Energy Union already established, is they all really set a good model in terms of energy transition leadership. And for the world, we really need a World Energy Organization. I'm not sure for tomorrow COP30 they're going to discuss this or not. But anyway, I'm going to publish the news to encourage them to discuss this topic because we need a leadership. We need a stronger leadership. They also need to educate the next generation engineer to develop and implement such initiatives. We need people. Certainly, IEEE, I working with IEEE many years. Educated professionals, engineers, students. So awful lot of can be done working with IEEE. So I really appreciate that IEEE give me the opportunity to talk about this global electricity grid, very much related to COP30. Thank you very much. Yeah, by the way, I just want to mention there are further readings. There are one report from Secret Working Group. Another one is my paper. If you are interested in some of details of my presentation, I encourage you look at these two references. Um, by concluding, I just cite what Archimedes said. Give me a place to stand and rest my liver on, and I can move the earth. Today, we say with the global electricity grid, we can deliver renewable energy to every corner of the world. Certainly, with the support, technical education support of IEEE, we can make this happen and make it happen sooner. Thank you very much.
And thank you for your nice talk. And then we need to move on to the Q&A. And the first question is for myself. Okay. So there seems to be some doubts on the net zero goal. How do you comment on that?
I have said, I think the doubt could be from different angles. Um, I think there are doubt about they they of course they are in terms of technical and economic aspects there I thought scientifically we already got sufficient evidence. Uh, so really I think if for those people have doubt maybe good to look at this in the UK for instance we have a national climate change committee. They publish the report regularly. I think from different country, you have climate change committee as well. Also, you can look at the United Nations, COP related paperwork. All these provide sufficient scientific evidence. My personal view is sufficient evidence provided because the challenge for people understanding is the climate change is a long process, long process. Before before all the people the birth here, the climate change already happened. So that's a problem. So our lifetime just limited. Our understanding of the whole challenge is very limited. I think most of the case, uh, the understanding because of limitation of our age, our lifetime, our knowledge, and so on. So I have a strong I'm a strong believer of the net zero transition, and really we need to do it. I have already said, in the UK actually we got this summer really warm. I think during the past 20 years, never like this, never before. So we have a I think we have a globally we can provide tons of evidence. Um, so net zero is certainly that's a direction. I think not revertible.
Yeah, thank you for that. And the next few questions are from Charlie. And since we still have some time here, Charlie, do you want to unmute yourself so that you can ask directly?
Sure. Um, again, um, do you consider nuclear to be renewable or it is zero emission? And is renewable the important thing or is zero emission the important thing?
Yes, certainly nuclear not renewable. But I think I consider nuclear a low carbon generation technology. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, Also, I believe nuclear. If in the process you have sufficient technology dealing with the safety of nuclear utilization, um, because I know that industry have very rigorous process. This is why constructing nuclear power took a very long time. Um, I trust most cases they most cases the incident because probably they did not follow the procedure very well. If they follow the safety procedure very well, normally the risk is very, very small. That's my understanding. Even though myself, I'm not the expert in nuclear, but my understanding like that. They much rigorous than electric engineer like me.
Yeah.
Even electrical engineer like me already very conservative in comparison engineer in other subject engineering area. Thank you.
The other question is, to me, it seems that energy storage is not being developed fast enough. Is that the case, and why is it the case?
Oh, uh, any any storage. In fact, globally, um, in the UK, for instance, we have called any storage technology as game-changing technology for many years, even from I think 15 years ago. We call any storage. Actually, over the years, we give a large amount of investment. Um, the the big challenge is for all the technology, you need to carry out the demonstration first. I mean, industry scale demonstration. I found that the technology development was slow because the industry demonstration uh, process very slow because you need an awful lot of large amount of money before you can do demonstration. Why I actually seen some country like some Asian country like China, the developing country, the new technology very very quickly because they can make a big decision very very quickly to do a demonstration. I think it's for the UK market because all the technology development is very much market driven. For the demonstration, everything actually need to be follow the market regulation, need to get approval through the proper process. I think all these things are going to slow down the demonstration. Not only money. This to me also related to leadership, the procedure. So if you have a very long approval procedure, even you got the money, your development is still going to be very slow. Thank you.
Okay, well, I want to thank you for a talk that shows that the analysis and control structure exists to support the future power infrastructure. Feng Yuan, there are other questions?
Yes, there is one more question here. It's from Ms. Cordoba. Do you want to unmute yourself and ask? Hello, 大班的? Okay, if she is not here, then I will ask. So how do you evaluate the progress of South America's energy infrastructure grid in the context of the energy transition? Professor Zhang?
Yeah, this is very very interesting. So basically for the transition assessment, there is no big difference between this kind of assessment and the traditional power grid planning. So basically, you need to have projected data of 2050 if that's a target in terms of demand, generation sources, and potential transmission corridors. With those basic assumptions, you can build up your generation data series. You also build up your demand series Then you can build your optimization model. Then you can carry out the assessment.
Thank you for that. I think that concludes the end of the second session, and I would like to pass to Charlie.
Okay, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Tomorrow we have two interesting talks by Saifer Rahman and Claudia Canizares. And we'll take a break for the COP meeting, and then we'll start up again in December. But tomorrow we have two great talks. Ravinder, do you want to say anything?
Yeah, thanks, Charlie. Yeah, tomorrow's talk, first of all, thank you, Professor Zhang, for interesting talk here. It was very enlightening for us. Tomorrow's talk are particularly, I would also like to echo what Charlie said. They're attractive because IEEE has, as a part of this one IEEE concept, we do have quite high level climate change a committee, and there are a lot happening in that area. So Saifur was the past president of IEEE, and Claudia also associated with that. Likewise, Charlie and I, we are connected there too. So they will bring the perspective from IEEE and also beyond IEEE as well. So I encourage all of you to attend tomorrow's talks also. Thank you very much.
Thank you.